Nathalie is an associate professor for UNILASAL, our university partner in the project. Nathalie, are you here?
I'll check out meanwhile where she is. So
Okay.
just a sec. Yes.
I can see her
just
as
arrived. Great. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So can everybody hear me?
Yes, it's perfect.
Yes.
Okay, then I should be able to share my screen. Okay, and I guess now you can see my screen. So thank you for that opportunity to share our journey towards that pedagogical methodology database. And first, to introduce you to that database, I would like to share our journey to make sure that it was a meaningful solution, actually. So the question very quickly that we started to discuss was that one, trying to make sure to understand clearly that innovating and diversifying pedagogical practices, was that a real question for the professors and for the universities. And then we figured out that the development of a methodological database was part of the mean to improve quality of teaching. So doing that, we wanted first to go through literatures and researchers and to again assess that in which condition who would need what to make sure we could answer it properly. So our first readings led us to understand that when somebody wants to teach either a new concept such as design thinking or agility that is not that classic in terms of teaching, or teaching to different publics such as mixed publics, students or students and other people in Fab Labs, or undergrads and graduate students at the same time, or teaching with technologies like social networks, apps, online classes, especially now with the COVID, or teaching complex matters such as Chinese language, for example. People were becoming very inventive and were very much willing to innovate, and to gain the engagement of the students, and to innovate also to better share their findings. So once we were sure of that, we decided to collect some statements, and some of the ones I preferred were some professors saying that I definitely need to keep updated on new practices and tools to have a better engagement of my students. So that was a key issue. They look for different ways and supports to learn languages. And especially in languages, we figured out that professors are using quite a few tools actually, and online tools. I've been doing that for actually a few years already. Another one on a hard skill like physics said, well, why not introducing new learning settings? Although I do not always see clearly how to implement such activities. I have no experience in such practices because I'm used to have like everybody looking at my screen or looking at the board actually. So I wish I could see how it works, on short video. So that gave us like incentive for the way to promote tools. And somebody else said, well, in my institution, continuous education gives me the opportunity to learn and improve my pedagogical skills. And I heard somebody talking about that earlier. And I would just need to have reliable resources and to share in the community. So that's two new elements actually that we kept. And then from that, we anchored it in our Uni-LaSalle experience. As we had been working on this issue for quite a few months already, and we took the opportunity of that program, Teach with Erasmus Plus program, to go further, to deepen, and maybe, of course, to go quicker and in a more reliable way, because we were working with different people, so that was like a collective intelligence process. So first, for example, in Uni-LaSalle, we have a pedagogical support team. So, which means that they're here to listen and confirm the need of the people, the professors. They're here to promote tools and to provide guidance when we want to use new methodologies, so we can share and test and share our doubts with them. And then they're here also to help us to share the practices, right? And then a database, we figured out that it would be a part of the solution. We had a pre-existing reflection on it, but we were not in our way to do something. We figured out it was very important to gather, to collect, to organize the increasing amount of resources, and we remember what that had said about the reliability of the resource. That is a key issue. And then to share widely with partner universities was another issue that we could not address by ourselves. So then comes the TWE Plus opportunity. And in May 2019, we conducted a collective design focus group with consortium members and invited professors. And what came out of that exercise? Well, first, we kind of looked at the research, and Laszlo talked about it, and we wanted to anchor our reflections in the results of that research on innovation and the quality concerns. Then we did a benchmark to better conceive our added value. That was not obvious and clear right from the beginning, as quite a lot of platforms and catalogs do already exist online. The reliability question being a real issue about it, or about them. And then we chose to have a collective design time by the consortium members and those professors to really clearly understand the needs and the readiness of the people to use these kind of tools, actually. So the promise then came, and we started to design the tool that Anneke is going to talk about. And the idea was to give or to enhance the opportunity for each professor to develop its own pedagogical faculties as a main effective objective. And we've seen from previous discussion that it's not always the main and effective objective of teaching mobility. So we really wanted to foster that point. Then we discussed about what it should look like, the tool and the platform and the catalog of pedagogical methodologies. So it should be definitely flexible, it should be open, and could evolve about pedagogical content. And we see with the COVID situation that it's changing so quickly. We have so many new opportunities to teach online with so many new ways of doing things, matching classes, matching professors. We wouldn't have thought about it like 2 years ago, not even last year, actually. There should be no cultural limits, which means there's no connection between pedagogical methods and fields of studies or cultural background. We wanted to raise awareness on pedagogical tools. It should definitely be a question of personal skills and to provide inspiration to improve personal pedagogical practices. And the diversity of the resources should be kept, which means not only written material. And then we started to work on that catalog and to have 40 descriptive cards as a start. We created filters by use, by means, by resources. A dozen of videos to allow better see the a dozen of videos to allow to better see the use of the methodology will be done and uploaded. And then we kept some very key issues, such as having different profiles adapted to different use of the platform. As a professor, for example, if I want to look for a mobility, or if I'm looking for some people to come in La Salle and teach with me, it's not exactly the same search. Then we wanted to keep some storytelling to share the human experiences and their added value, as we felt it was very important to be anchored in real life of teachers and professors. And then we wanted to keep some tips to foster efficiency of any choice of the pedagogical tool. It is a very key point to make sure that we make a nice choice and we are more efficient in the choice that we make when we choose a new tool to implement in our classes. And then now we are on the way to build the dissemination and to contribute to it. And the question of dissemination for us really means how to make sure that it will last after the program ends. And that's what we're going to work next year on, from now actually. And that's some reflection I wanted to share with all of you. I think that to build the dissemination also means that for contributors, it contributes also to our reputation. If we are able to share our experience, to share our innovation, it contributes to the reputation of the institutions we're working in. It should also be based on volunteer contribution. And again, comes the question of the value given to that contribution. How can I feel as a professor engaged in this kind of contribution system? It should definitely not rely only on tech support, as we figured that it would be like a dead system. So we feel that professors should really feel the added value of having a maintained system that is useful for them and for their institution. And then we figured out that, like for any project, if we address a right vision, shared vision among the stakeholders, plus the adequate means, then succeed should be met. And that's really the best we can wish to this kind of project. And we really hope that this catalog of pedagogical tools or methodologies will be a living system and eventually a living lab of our expertise. Thank you for your kind attention, and I guess we will answer the questions at the end of the session.
Thank you very much, Nathalie, for your presentation and for highlighting how we could really make it work and what kind of contribution we all need to make a very good and living lab out of this database.